can.
Now, Big Mike, I'm not gonna lie, you got me inspired, sir. And I'm gonna just read off what I have for the list of things to talk about for mental theater. So I wanted to talk about obviously the Lord of the Rings show is in production now. They got clearance to go to New Zealand to start filming, which is pretty cool. And I saw that there is amazing story about Hugh Jackman and Kevin Feige on Wolverine, and how Kevin Feige was actually smuggling Hugh Jackman Wolverine comics on set because the director forbid comics from being on set because they wanted to have something completely different. And there was points in the story, and Kevin Feige was a production assistant or something, and the screenwriters and the director had issue, like they were having creative blocks, and he was like, "Yo, look at the comics. The comics has a solution for this story arc." Because again, at the end of the day, comics are again amazing in terms of storytelling. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And then, right, so now you see, like, he always had that vision, and he's doing exactly what he wanted to do. So I was just going to pose the question on mental theater. Imagine what would happen if Kevin Feige had started then in the MCU, started with that first X-Men, and he created. Because imagine all the Easter eggs you would have. He would have it completely connected. You would have it more synchronized, and it's completely synchronized now. You just would have had it earlier.
Yeah, we can talk about that right now if you want to. I'm fine with that. I think that would have been amazing. It's like in Feige we trust for me. You know what I mean? Like, I really do. I remember that he was on like a PA with like X-Men, and then I think again on like Fantastic Four when it first came out back then. If you could have had a completely overall sync universe, the world building would have been amazing. And I just think that it would have been just so many movies that would have been, better. Like Fantastic Fours, they were trash, right? But if he would have more of been able to be on it, been more of a creative part on that, I feel like it would have been much, much better. So I think it would have been good. And as far as the who's shooting? Lord of the Rings TV show. Yeah.
Amazon Prime show.
Yeah. Also, I think Avatar shooting in New Zealand too today, because they pretty much kicked the virus's ass pretty much in New Zealand. So I'm happy for that. I haven't seen the movies, where everybody should know that by now. However, I think it's going to be as big of a show as Game of Thrones, if not bigger. So, only more money for Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that question for you. How big do you think it'll be? Because it's getting completely competitive now. Because I was doing a little research with Emergency Awesome, so shout out to Charlie. So apparently Disney Plus, and their magnificent brilliance, probably because of Kevin Feige, they're going to use the Game of Thrones final season and the BBC show format, in terms of having each episode is going to be like a feature-length film.
Well, I heard like Falcon and Winter Soldier and other shows and stuff like that.
So essentially, it's a 6 to 8 hour film, and you're just breaking it up into episodes.
Yeah, I think that's pretty dope. I'm pretty excited about that. Once Disney Plus does start having continuous new shows, it's going to take off like crazy. You might want to buy stock in Disney. Everybody know I'm a stock guy now. Stock in Disney right now, because it went down because the parks closed. But as parks are reopening and Disney Plus, you might want to rebuy now, I would say, because I think it's going to be huge.
And by the way, Miguel, this could totally be the mental theater episode because it is recording and we're both on camera.
That's fine. Let's talk. Let's keep it going. Yeah.
By the way, so going back to Wolverine. So Hugh Jackman, we appreciate his service. Was it 19 years, around 8 to 10 films throughout the X-Men MCU?
Yes.
But apparently Marvel has confirmed that there will be a replacement. Who do you think, who would be in Miguel's perhaps top 3 of like top 1% of possible replacements?
Actually, you know what? Can you send Tony this meeting? I think he can join this meeting, actually.
Wait, doesn't he have that other show?
No, I think he just
All right, let me copy the invite and let me forward the email.
I'm texting him now. So I like you ready?
Uh-huh.
I like Scott Eastwood. I think he'll be good.
Wait, let me see what he looks like. Scott East. Okay, now why Scotty?
I think the look is there. Of course, he got the acting chops from his dad, stuff like that. I think he's not big enough to where he can take on the role for multiple films right now, because he's not big, but he's big enough to where he is still has a name so far in Hollywood to where people will be interested. And I also think that he'll be able to sink his teeth into it, and it'll be a big like boost for his career. Like this could be like the role that kind of makes him. And I think the look is like there too for like a Canadian type Wolverine type looking guy. So even though he's not Canadian, but still I think it'll be good. And the age is good too, I think. So
that's fair. I guess when you're recasting someone of this role and this magnitude, I feel like you may need a big name. So then my follow-up question was going to be, like, obviously Tony Stark with RDJ is going to have a few cameos and a lot of different projects. We get that. But at the same time, do you think they'll ever recast RDJ with someone like Ryan Gosling?
That's not bad, actually. I could see that, but not anytime soon. They got to give fans time enough to go along. But you don't have to do it anytime soon because Tony Stark was always, a middle-aged guy in the first. There was never like a young Tony Stark in comic books, even I don't think. So I feel like, maybe like 5 to 7 years. I feel like Ryan Gosling would be perfect though at that actual role. He got that smugness too. I think it can work for him and stuff like that. So had to dye his hair black and get the whole goatee going. Yeah, but I think it can actually work. Or not. I have one for you though. If you got it. Did you hear about? Oh, okay. Tony said, "Okay, cool." He got the email, so he might be joining. I guess we'll see. Did you hear about the with Josh Whedon when he was on the set of Justice League, and with Ray, what's the guy name who played Ray Jackson, Ray Carter, the guy who played Cyborg, whatever his name is, but yeah. So apparently they came out and said Josh Whedon treated everyone like trash on the set, yeah, and that he was very, very like ignorant to people, abusive overall. And, that's part of the reason why the film didn't do as well after Zack Snyder had to leave, unfortunately, and whatnot. And apparently Ray at one of the Comic-Cons said good things about Whedon, but now it's coming out and saying they were all lies. I was just trying to make sure we sold the movie and whatnot. But Josh Whedon was horrible to us and stuff like that. So I wonder what your thoughts are on that situation. This is recent news. It's like 2 days ago. Yeah.
I mean, if that's not a beneath the veil comment, right? Because at the end of the day, like, to be fair, I feel like we're all old enough and not that naive to know that there's always an element of this in Hollywood. Like sometimes you just have to put on the happy face and go sell the movie because that's what you're getting paid to do.
Yeah.
And at the same time, as Tony Stark Jr. joins us, at the same time, I'm like, I mean, of course this gets released now. Like, of course it does. Of course it comes out because eventually you want to be in control of the narrative. You don't want anyone else to take control of that narrative. I'm actually surprised no one on the film, unless they were, had to sign a document to, non-disclosure about what happens on the film set. I mean, and now it's going to beg the question, what else is happening on Hollywood film sets that are protected by legal documents? I don't know. Because it's not just spoiler alerts.
Well, what's interesting is that I feel like there's so much with Tony Stark, but I feel like there's so much. Yo,
bro, what are you doing?
Oh, I just felt like it's too much. I need to darken that up back there, man.
That's funny, bro.
You know what's funny? I didn't realize I came in yet because I didn't see like waiting in the lobby or blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, because I just let you right in.
Oh well, thanks a lot, guys. It's good to be here, man.
He's a cowboy.
Cause I'm a cowboy.
Yo,
it's good to see you.
Are you streaming today, Ant?
I don't think so.
All right.
Unless when Sandy come home, we do a little bit of The Last of Us.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to see you, bro. As always. Happy to be with
Big Mike, you want to talk about the Wolverine news?
Ooh.
Yeah. And I'll go back to the rate thing or whatever. But we were talking about Wolverine. But the one by Kevin Feige or stuff like that, or the other one?
Well, I'll just go into it. So
yeah. Thanks, Josh.
Apparently, Tony.
Okay.
So Hugh Jackman has given his blessing for someone else to take on the role.
Okay.
He was Wolverine, as we all know and love, for 19 years, around 8 to 10 movies. Stellar. Okay. And I would put him in the same category as RDJ, as an amazing servant to Marvel for essentially a very long time. So apparently, one of the cool stories is that one of the reasons X-Men wasn't as good as it could have been, and it was great, but it could have been better if it followed the comics, as we know.
Right.
So apparently it was Kevin Feige, who was I think Miguel was saying was a production assistant on the set, or whatever role he was. He was on the set of that original X-Men film, and he was the one smuggling comic books to Hugh Jackman on set, because Hugh Jackman wanted to really get into character. As we know, he's an amazing actor. So, and apparently throughout the creative process with the screenwriters and the filmmakers and the directors, they were actually having trouble with the plot. And Kevin Feige is like, guys, the comic books has a solution for the story arc. Because as we know, comic books have amazing story arcs.
Right.
And my question was, imagine if Kevin Feige was in charge of the MCU from that point, how much synchronization and Easter eggs and what type of universe you would have by now. I mean, it would be outrageous.
So here's my question. Would it follow the similar trend of comic books from back in the day that X-Men was more popular than the Avengers?
Oh, that's a great point.
Because if he took it over when the X-Men was introduced, way before Avengers was introduced, would we be like, the Avengers are cool, but the X-Men?
You might be onto something, because think about the roles that you had. What's it? Halle Berry, Patrick Stewart.
Can you remember when they talked about X-Men? I think this was worldwide. When they talked about doing an X-Men movie, I'm pretty sure everyone I knew was like, if Patrick Stewart ain't Professor Xavier, I'm not watching it. Before we even ever heard he would be. Like, that was a given. Like, I remember them times, man.
I remember that too, yeah. Because, the X-Men movie came out, like, right after the cartoon, which was so popular already.
Right.
You see what I mean? I think that's that's part of it. So you might be right. I think you are right, actually.
And the cool thing is, you're even talking about the later on cartoon that I really didn't watch, because my cartoon was probably like 10 years before that, but maybe even more. But the X-Men cartoons was always popular.
Yeah, I'm talking about the one that's on Disney Plus now, the one that was on Fox, the one that they replay. Yeah, you're right. And you know what? X-Men's cartoons were like, the story writing was amazing on those cartoons. It was like,
because here's what's cool with, and that's why sometimes I don't give animated movies too much credit, because I feel like live action, we see the person and then we automatically start saying, what movies did he do? Oh, he's not that good of an actor. But you're watching a cartoon and just hearing a voice, so you're more in tune with if the animation came off right and the person speaking for the voice hits it, you don't care about nothing else. You don't be thinking, Justin Bieber is playing as such and such. You just hear like a voice, and if the animation is good and the action is good, you're so into it and it comes off smooth. So with all the amazing storytelling in comic books, especially X-Men and being mutants, and because mutant is pretty much about segregation, Yeah. It's pretty much, when it was written, it was pretty much, that was the whole thing, True. So it's so deep, and then animated, it comes off smooth, like really good,
Yeah, I think I think you're right. I think because of their story was always good in the first place, so it does come off really, really good. You know,
Right.
in the
And then
animated.
also don't forget the animated series is always series. So you got so much more room versus a movie is a one shot. You know, you got what 2.5, 3 hours to pretty much cram all this in there. And sometimes stuff get left out and it just make you feel like something was missing, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? They were one of the first cartoons who did like several part storyline, like arcs
Right.
and whatnot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it would be like you know, some cartoons like you watch it this Saturday and then that's it. You know what I mean? Next week a new thing. But X-Men were like don't like continuing next week. And as a kid, you were like, oh man, I can't wait till next week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. Like, cause the Ninja Turtles was one that was good for the next episode is just a random episode, you know?
Right.
And I loved it, but it was like, oh, this other episode. But the X-Men, like you said, it was story arcs. It was like this is continuing next week. So you had to watch, you know?
Yeah. So you had to watch. So I thought that was like, man, like for them to be writing that for animated series is pretty good. And I think them, and then you know that whole era, like Batman the animated series, some of that, and a lot of that, you know, was which was voiced. Joker was voiced by Mark Hamill in that animated series.
Sure.
Like that was good too. And then we asked Tony if you were to think about someone to play, and I don't think you answered the question, by the way, Josh, either, but play Wolverine next. Would you have an idea?
Yeah, like your top 3. Who's in your top 1%, like off the top of your head?
I guess because the world was buzzing that he should play him, Henry Cavill. But also Tom Hardy, because we threw that around before. So those two guys are comes to mind first, you know.
So I said Scott Eastwood, which was very random. Yeah, but I felt like he has the look and he's big enough to where people know him, but he's not so big that he's too busy to, you know, be able to do multiple films and stuff like that.
Right.
So I feel like that's why I feel like he would work.
How old do you think he is?
Scott right now? Think you have him up, Josh?
Yeah, he is, and he's 5'11", by the way. He's 34.
34. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good age to start doing the role too. Actually,
I agree.
You know, for the next few years and whatnot.
Again, I think the dynamics of Wolverine character being able to his healing factor, you could have somebody who could look old, look young.
That's true too.
Old. Like you could pull it off with Wolverine. That's the cool thing with his character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, Miguel, I didn't really have an answer because, and Tony's possibilities are great, but we all know that they're tied up. They can't.
Right. So yeah, you know what it is?
That's why it wasn't on my list.
It's kind of like your mom asks you what you want for your birthday. You know you want a pony, but you don't live on a ranch. So it's like, I'm not even going to say. Because
that's why I said somebody that's Scott Eastwood, because I know he's not too busy to do that type of thing and whatnot. So, and, you know, I don't know. And then I was saying to Josh right before you came on, that's all we talked about, was that apparently the guy who played Cyborg in the Justice League movie, he came out and said that Josh Whedon, when he took over for Zack Snyder, he was horrible to everybody on the set. It was very disrespectful. He just wasn't good and caused a lot of animosity and tension on the set, which probably another part of the reason why Justice League turned out the way it was. Right. And I was asking him, you know, what did he think about that situation?
You know what's hard for me is I think we all find this to be true. Usually when you don't have high expectations to something, it tends to be better than what maybe some people say. The Justice League, to me, I was okay with the movie, but because I knew they didn't do what Marvel did, I had so much riding on Endgame, Infinity War, but the Justice League, I was like, I hope it's the popcorn movie for me, and it was. So, but would it have been nice to be better? Like I could tell it had room to be better, but I don't think that one-shot movie itself should be ridiculed so much because we wanted it to be Infinity War or Endgame or a Marvel Avengers, right? But they did the steps to make it a great movie because they built up to get a good payoff. Justice League didn't do enough to get a good payoff. So for me, I feel like it was still almost like a one-shot movie. Like it was a good movie, but I don't even add up like, oh, well, you had Wonder Woman, and you had this, and you had that, and then you had Justice League. I was like, Justice League was all right for a movie by itself. So
To me, Josh, it's just crazy that there's so much controversy around this movie, and then you got a Snyder cut coming out next year,
right?
That's supposedly better than the original cut. So it's like, what
Yeah, but
happened
how
on
much?
this damn
Here's
set?
my question: unless you get sucked into the whole, he's a better director or whatever. How much better is it going to be? Like, what would you?
It's going to be significantly better.
But what would you? What would? Okay, let me ask you this. So we're timestamp. This is July 5th, right? What would you need to have seen in that movie to make it a better movie? And then a year from now, when we watch it, I'm curious if the Snyder cut will have what you said. Because what I'm saying would have made it a better movie is the build up to that movie. Like, I often dislike when somebody say, oh, this movie is so good because the next movie is going to be good because of it. I'm like, no, just judge that movie. But we're judging Justice League because it didn't live up to Avengers, because they didn't make so many great movies to make this movie feel like a good payoff. So what is Snyder going to do to make it that much better? Because they ain't have that many movies to make that movie a great movie.
Oh, yeah, that's a fair question. And for me, it's Zack Snyder's vision. So
and again, so here's my thing. So ultimately, his cut's going to come out, and you're going to be like, it was better because it's Jack Snyder's. Or Zack, I feel like I'm going to watch it, eating popcorn, and be like, you know what? That scene right there, they should have had that scene. Oh, when they brought in that character, they should have did that. You're going to be like, well, it sounds like, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but it sounds like you're just going to feel like, you know what? His name was on it. So ultimately, I'm kind of more into it than someone else.
Oh, not at all. It was just the footage that I've seen just in the sneak peeks and the trailers. And for me personally, as a creative, I am vehemently opposed to micromanagement, as I'm sure you guys know. So even with the Solo film and how that original director was forced out and Ron Howard had to replace them, I'm imagining, could Solo have been better as well? We honestly don't know, because we understand that Kathleen Kennedy was micromanaging.
But hear me out, right? You're talking as a content creator, and I'm talking as a moviegoer. So what I'm asking you is, can you even your answer was his vision. Like, that's, for me, like, if we watched a trailer and you was like, that trailer showed too much or it didn't show enough. Let's say we watched a trailer that didn't show enough, right? And I was like, I kind of like, all right, Tenet, for instance, perfect, right? You watched Tenet. You guys, it's going to be great because who's the director?
Christopher
Nolan.
There you go. Chris going to be great because I watched it like, I mean, it looked all right, but I feel like, So if I said, Josh, if you said, Ant, what else would you want to have seen in the trailer in order to make you say, I'm going to see it day one? That's kind of what I'm saying to you. My question is, what would you need to have been different in Justice League for you to say this movie was a great movie, is what I'm saying.
Well, again, I won't know until I see it. I'm not saying it's going to be better just because
that's not an answer to the question, because
I don't know. I'm kind of with Josh. Like, I don't know if I can name particulars as far as like, did it need like a?
So that's my thing. You got here my perfect. You answered my question, because someone else directed it and it was micromanaged, it was misled, it was dissension in the back. But we ain't even talking about, no one named cinematically what you seen. Like, you know what? When Batman dropped down and land on that car and he looked at the one dude, I kind of feel like his acting was bad. Maybe somebody should have made him do this. Nowhere y'all mentioning the actual movie that we're judging so hard that we all seen with our eyes. What was so bad? But versus, forget what was so bad, what will we want to see? If you can't even answer that, then how is the movie that bad to you? If you, like, I could say Avengers Endgame, I hope needed a scene, a big moment. I can literally tell you what my issue was. Justice League, I don't have that big of an issue because they didn't do, like, all right, so if they had like 12 movies that led up to Justice League, I probably would have been like, they could have had more characters, or that character barely had any scenes. He had 12 movies he was in. Why he didn't get more scenes? You guys aren't even answering cinematically.
Well, okay, so I agree with you on that point. I said it when it came out. I felt like they were trying to rush to compete with Marvel and didn't build up their characters. So I felt like that was a flaw, and that flaw can't be fixed no matter who directed the movie, right? So I agree with you on that point.
Right.
But what Josh is saying, you're right. I can't answer cinematically what I would have needed, but if I see it, I won't automatically say it's better because it's Zack Snyder, but after I see it, I can say, I can look and say, you know what, that scene was better. You know, I can't answer it.
See, here's the thing. That's kind of a cop out to me, just being honest. Because if so here's the thing. What you guys are saying is, if we have 4 movies and it had a certain amount of characters in it, and they were gonna make a Justice League movie, but they never made it yet, right? We heard they made it. They never released it because they had issues. So the one director that we think would have fumbled the ball, we never got to see his version, but we heard he got a version and we're going to get his version. Now I could be like, well, I can't say anything because I didn't see it. But the thing is, you guys seen a version. And if you both dislike the version, then what would you have liked to have seen to make it better? And then I'm curious, a year from now, would he have added what you had a problem with?
And that's fair. Tony, that's a fair question, but
right.
I'll be completely transparent. I don't go into films with that perspective, personally. So for me, I'm looking at what Zack Snyder did with the Superman franchise and how he revitalized that. I feel like a lot of people love Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. Mm-hmm.
That's number one. So I feel like that gives him the creative license that he thought he was getting with Warner Brothers that he didn't get.
Right. And some people also don't like it.
And again, I wasn't that thrilled by it because, again, I'm a Batman fan at the end of the day. But at the same time, I'm looking at it like, wait a minute, if he's 75% done, and I didn't know these statistics until they start talking about the Snyder Cut. He had 75% of the movie completed with the CGI.
Okay, yeah. So fully.
Completely do a 1080, or excuse me, a 180, and go in a different direction with a different director, in addition to rushing. So just from production value alone, I already know it could, like the vision of it is already going to be better as opposed to manufactured to make it presentable.
Right.
Let me ask you this, Tony. Let me ask you a question, Tony. Real quick.
Yeah.
Do you think they're putting it out just as like a additional way to grab money, or because they genuinely think it was a better movie, like the studio? I mean.
No, I think they legitimately think it's a better movie. I think there's enough guys like you who heard that there was a other version. How would you not want that version? Like, I want to see it because just listening to you guys, the passion that you put out, that he's such a better director, or his direct, he don't have to be better, but his directing is well worthy. It's like, man, I would love to see what his vision would be. So as a moviegoer, I would love to see it. You know, there's the Transformers movie, right? So let's take the very first Transformers movie, which was Michael Bay. Mm-hmm. Now let's take the Bumblebee movie that came out, right? And you look at the two and you're like, so, man, I see what he did, which at the time was good, but it was holes in it. And I see what he did. It's like, man, I wish this was like that. You know, I could say that. So for me, seeing a Justice League movie, I actually didn't have that much of a problem with it. But the people who do, I'm curious of, well, what would you want to have been changed? And I feel like, okay, then
I can say something. I can give you 5 things, if you want to talk about what I didn't like about Justice League movie.
Let's hear it.
I didn't like the villain at all. Okay. You know what I mean? I felt like his costume was horrible, number one, and I felt like that there was no like, he was just generic to me. Generic bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have any feeling for him whatsoever. So that's number one. The way they shot the movie, it was like they kept Superman out of the way because he is so powerful, and then they're all getting chipped up by this dude, and then Superman comes, and like 2 seconds later, the fight's over and whatnot. So I think they need somebody who has more at stakes for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're a team or a league or whatever, right? It shouldn't just be Superman take out a bad guy in 2 seconds. Then why are we a team? We don't even need the rest of them. Just have Superman. So I didn't like that. I also didn't like the story was bad to me. Like, not the whole story, but the Superman awakening part. Like, take him back to the ship and put him in the water, and like, it just was you know what I mean? Like, it just was a lot of bad to me in that whole area. I did like Flash, you know, the guy who played Flash. I thought that was pretty good. And I thought Cyborg could have had a little bit more time for a backstory, but that goes back to your point about them not having their own movie. Like that.
Which, like Josh said, that nothing you could do about.
Yeah, there's nothing I could do about that part. So, I mean, and I did hear
to the continuity, right? Because even the Flash show is not tied to the Justice League theme. So that's to me, that's another issue that could be resolved.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think
And
the Flash show. I don't think the Flash show should be tied to it.
No, but again, that's what I'm saying. This is why we all know that Marvel's doing things better, and now we see this with Disney Plus. So unless you're gonna have a similar,
but Marvel thing is unfair because Marvel had movies before series. DC had series before movies. We all know when you do a series, don't live up to a movie. Now Marvel's doing it right because they're gonna have the series, the quality of the movie. So that's why I didn't like Agent of whatever the Marvel show.
Agents of Shield.
Yeah, I didn't like it because
I love that show.
Quality. It wasn't quality of a movie. They're saying
now.
that these,
I'm still watching now. Agents of Shield. I like.
Yeah, they're saying that these new movies, new series are going to be quality of the movie.
We talked about that too earlier, Josh and I, when you came on. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Tony. So apparently, the news is Disney Plus, in all of its infinite wisdom, probably because of Kevin Feige, is using the Game of Thrones final season concept, and the BBC show, they have a similar concept, which each episode is a feature-length film episode. So essentially, it's like the whole season is a 6 to 9 hour film, and they're just going to break the episodes up into like multiple movies, which I think could be amazing.
Yeah, what show though? We talking
about? Definitely talking Winter Soldier for sure.
Yeah, Winter Soldier, WandaVision. And
they're gonna do all the shows like that.
Yeah.
Loki's gonna be like that. Hawkeye's gonna be like that.
Now here's my question though, because again we said follow the Game of Thrones final season trend. Let's not forget, a lot of people was very upset. Now
well, I'm saying in terms of how it was presented.
Yeah, okay, cool. Because I'm about to say if you're gonna give me like if you're gonna give me like 8 long episodes, which is awesome. But if you don't really like, if we could feel that it wasn't put together right because there was these long episodes, but I would like to think like the first thing you said was Kevin Feige. So I'm gonna assume they're gonna do it right, even if we got like 8 long episodes.
Right.
But that's
I'm excited for it.
And then Mike can't complain about short episodes. Like the Mandalorian. Yeah. Also, let me take this time real quick to apologize to the people. Sorry that I've been missing in action for a little bit. I'm back to work, and I only got the weekends. And like, especially summertimes, we do a lot. Like today, we went to Great Adventures. We doing these cookouts. So the time has been hard for me. But whenever I will jump on. So I'm glad.
So we talked about this later. Before you hold on, Tony. Before you came on, we talked about revamping it, maybe like separating the mental theater from the watch party, right? Okay. And then maybe doing the mental theater like this earlier on a Sunday before your day gets started, and then if you want to join a watch party later on, maybe like 7 in the evening.
Oh yeah, so it could be like me watching a movie like later on. Yeah.
Right. So. I think that might help us all. I don't know if it'll help you out, but I think it might help us all.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if I'm ever available, I definitely want to do it. I love it. I love talking to you guys. Love the people watching us. I want to be a part of this. And I'll be clear if I can't do it. Like I told you that, I was going to be on I didn't tell Josh, so I apologize for that. But I did tell Mike that I was going to go to Great Adventures on Sunday.
Yeah, right, but I do think even for me, like a Sunday morning, 10:30, 11 o'clock will be better than mid-afternoon.
Yeah, because I could say, hey, I'm doing this, and then I could go on with my day. Right. Even if I was going, because we like to go to the beach sometimes, even if I was going to the beach, we could probably do this, and then I could leave for the beach,
Oh, yeah. And again, like how we said in our first mental theater episode together, it's not a job. It's whenever everyone is available. We already know we all have the prerequisites for the passion. Right. So we just want to work around everyone's schedule because if we can get the Avengers together, it's always going to be great.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be a Winter Soldier, right, Mike?
I'll be a Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I just wanted to just apologize to the people and everybody, because I'm a team player, so I feel like if I sign on to something, I want to do it,
By the way. Because I was thinking about this anyway. If you want to, because the likelihood to get John is not going to be that likely, as Mike was saying. So if you want to do your show, so let's talk now with Mike and I as producers of multiple podcasts. You might want to do that right now.
That would be cool.
If you're available.
I'm available. I'm always available. So
I would love to do it.
It's recording, so like I said, it's up to you, host.
I mean, then I would just like to record my version of it, so that way.
Well,
Well,
Josh
hold
got
up.
to stop recording first, right?
No, Josh is recording.
Right.
Josh is recording. Well, all right, let's start over. We're still doing mental theater, right? So we still.
Well, hold on. We started with food for the culture, just like a behind the scenes meeting. If you want, Miguel, we can upload. It's totally up to you. I don't mind either way. And then we transitioned to mental theater because we were on live and it was recording. Right. And now that you came on, so now we can do all of the above and it'll all be recorded together, and then I can just spice it up and send it to the requisite parties.
I get you.
Or do you want them to stop and record yourself?
I rather just, so I rather don't cheat the people. So I rather, if this is mental theater, let's finish up mental theater. Again, this is just, unless you disagree. I rather, if it's mental theater, let's finish mental theater, and then I will just record me, talking to you guys.
Oh, so yes, that's fine. So also, we were asking about our boy RDJ as Tony Stark. So we already know he's going to make some cameos and Disney Plus and whatnot. So, but going forward, if Marvel's open to recasting Hugh Jackman as Wolverine as a long-term character, right, who would you see as a long-term replacement for Tony Stark and RDJ? So mine was Ryan Gosling, because he has that cleverness and wittiness about him, but that's just me.
Dude. Do you know when somebody, when you say like the term your shoes are too big to be filled? I have to ask you a question before I answer that. Whose shoes is too big bigger to be filled? Hugh Jackman as Wolverine or RDJ as Iron Man?
Neither. If you get the right actor, neither.
Okay, so hear me out on this, right? I'm gonna say RDJ. Reason being, right? When I first thought of Hugh Jackman, so mentally in my head, I had this person, that person for Wolverine, right? I didn't really know who would be Iron Man. Maybe I felt like, anybody could be Iron Man, right? After you gave me some great years of Wolverine, I can still think, because of Wolverine's character, his grittiness, you could get somebody to nail it. But man, again, he doesn't speak as much. He's just got to be intense. So obviously, we thinking we want somebody in shape. We want to, but dude, the wittiness, who is gonna top RDJ as Iron Man? Or
I agree with Josh. I'm sorry, I agree with Tony. Wolverine, I think, will be easier to recast. I think RDJ is it's going to happen because he's older or whatever, but I think it'll be hard, man. Any other person I can see, even down to Cap, I can see being recast.
I could put another white dude in a cap suit, man, and have him nail it.
Hold on. Okay, all right. So let me just paint a picture. Okay. Just based upon what we see Marvel doing already, and it'll evolve our passion, Tony, as you see where I'm going with this. So imagine if, and this is what Assassin's Creed should have done. So imagine if, in the future, not in the next, I would say not in the next 5 to 10 years, but beyond that, imagine if they recast another person to be Tony Stark. Okay. And then they incorporate that to the video game franchise that they're building up. So similar to other video game studios, you're creating, you're actually using their face and their voice in the video games, as well as you're going to be in the films going forward as well. So I feel like with that possibility, to me, I would do that. You can easily get someone to play that role.
I won't say easily. I can't say that. Like, think about it this way. Look how important the Avengers game is. And I missed being on the last episode because you talked about, I have so much passion for that game. But you did a great job talking about it. I wish I would have been there. But think about this, right?
Yeah, I'm about to say, go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts about it. So
well, listen, I'm gonna just let me finish this because let me finish this. So think about this, right? I'm a bigger video game fan than I'm a movie fan. Mm-hmm. Literally, Nolan North is the guy who's playing as Iron Man in the Avengers video game. Okay. He is literally the top video game voice, like the most known. Like, he is the guy that done he's the guy that does Nathan Drake in Uncharted. So that's him.
That's why he sounded familiar.
That's him. he was in Destiny, the original Ghost that you have flying around. He did his voice, and then your boy Peter Dinklage actually took over. They like rebranded it, right? So he is. What I'm saying is all the other people who play, the guy that plays Hope, the guy that plays everybody is like people you don't really know. You got to look them up. Nolan North is like the most recognizable voice, and they chose him for Iron Man. So that's how I think powerful Iron Man character became, because of RDJ. Like for me, at first I was like, I don't really care who's Iron Man. Iron Man is not that big of a character for me. RDJ made Iron Man that big of a character for me. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel like it's hard for me to figure. Like, I just don't know. But Ryan Gosling is my dude. You know, I'm a Notebook guy. That's my favorite. That's my favorite love movie. So Ryan Gosling is my dude. But I don't know if I don't see. You know what it is? I can't see anybody but RDJ. Oh man! But obviously they'll get somebody. They'll do it. You know. But I just don't have anybody in mind. If you gave me some time, maybe I could look it up and be like, okay. But I'm always thinking of age too. I'm always want somebody to be a little bit younger so we can know they have some longevity, you know?
I mean, because RDJ started at what, like 40, 38, 39, 40?
Yeah, that's crazy when you think of it, right? So if you got somebody younger, like if you could get somebody in their like early 30s, you know?
But that's the thing. Like Tony Stark, the character was never like young.
True.
Like young and stuff like that. So
yeah, but he wasn't like old either. I mean, you could depict him as like 39, 38.
Yeah, somewhere in there. That's what I mean. Yeah. I mean, he was, but like I've never seen like a 20-year-old Tony Stark in the comics even, or whatnot, or nothing like that. It's almost like he figured everything out before he decided to put the iron suit on, I guess. I remember he was already like a billionaire running a company before he got kidnapped or something, even in the comic books or whatever.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, he was never really super duper young. But, yeah, what's your thoughts on the game? I want to hear your thoughts on the game.
Okay, so 3 years ago at E3, which is the biggest video game convention of the year, all they showed was, in the future, there's going to be an Avengers game. And we was like, you know, every time they do a comic book game, they screw it up. So I don't have high hopes.
Arkham Knight? The Arkham Asylum series? No.
I apologize. Yeah, that's Batman. I'm not into Batman. But yeah, Batman.
But it's an amazing game though.
Yeah, no. You're right. Like, so here's the cool thing. I'm so much of a gamer, I like to know about other games. I did GameFly, the first Arkham Knight. So like my brother is a diehard Star Wars fan, you guys would love him. He's into like everything y'all are into, right? Okay. So I always heard from him and other friends. So even the stuff I don't like Dragon Ball Z, I care less about, but I was always in the know of it.
So wait, would he be interested in being a guest on Mental Theater?
That's a good thought. Good idea.
I don't know.
Well, all you gotta do is ask Tony. Maybe. I mean, I could have yet to get him on my Wednesday night show playing video games. You know, in the 2 years I've been doing it, 2.5 years. But I guess just to talk about, like, when he talked about Star Wars, he read the books, he watched all the Clone. Matter of fact, I brought you guys up at his cookout. I went to his cookout 2 days ago on Friday, and I said, I know guys that aren't into Clone Wars. He was like, what? But because of Nate, I knew that Nate said, well, if you watch the last 4 episodes of the last season 8. So I was like, he was like, oh man, they at least got to see the last season. I was like, oh, you saw my episode, the last 4 episodes? He was like, yeah. I was like, oh, I don't watch it. Now, I never started watching it, but this is the other guy who's diehard. He was like, yeah. He was like, trust me, they clear it up if your friends got a problem with it. I was like, yeah, you know, they just feel like the continuity was off. He was like, it's so good. So he, like, I even, you know, brought you guys, that's funny, brought you guys up to him. But cool. He might. I mean, he's so, like, he gets into the crazy stuff in Star Wars that, you know, you're so over my head right now, man. So you guys might, he might be a cool guest. I asked him. Yo, you holding out, Tony.
Nah, my bad. Yeah, I would love to hear y'all guys talk to him and ask him, because he would just, y'all would be going on. It'd be like
Is this your older or younger brother now?
He's younger than me. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm like maybe 5 years older than him, I think.
Okay. No.
Yeah. So, all right. So 3 years ago, it was said that there was going to be Avengers video game, right? And the only Avenger video game I know of is the arcade game that came out back in the day in the arcades, and the one that came on the Super Nintendo, War for the Gems, right? Loved the arcade game. Still own. I could go out there and pull out War of the Gems for Super Nintendo. I still got the cartridge, right? But there never been another one. There was a Wolverine game. There was Iron Man. They all was okay. Like you said, Batman stole the show, right? So as video games, as a fan of Avengers, I want it. But then it goes
also Spider-Man as well.
True. At the time, I'm trying to think if Spider-Man was out. I don't think Spider-Man game was out yet.
Wait, hold on. Anyway. What about this one?
Come
on now.
Oh, you're talking about those Spider-Man games.
I mean, it's in the past, right?
Yeah, they was okay, but you gotta admit the new Spider-Man game. New Spider-Man game, they believe the
greatest hits, Tony.
No, I hear you, but the new Spider-Man game, they believe to be better than the Batman game. You know, and that's saying a lot because the Batman game nailed it. Listen, he's pulling out these. Listen, I like. All right. So anyway,
you ain't ready for all this. Come on.
Hold on. What's that?
Oh, Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. I had the Lord of the Ring game. Yeah, I had that. Yeah.
I think you might have you beat Tony in games and stuff like that.
In terms of movie games, that's literally my demographic.
Yeah. In movie games, you probably definitely got me.
In comics, when you combine all three, I'm a fan. So Assassin's Creed, you know,
think about it. He's honing in on what he likes to watch. He's gonna get the game. Whereas me, I'm like to be in the know of video games. I like to play video games. I'm all over the place. Like I'm into systems, I'm into new tech, you name it. You know, so Josh has a lane. I'm more kind of like if I didn't play it, I heard of it, I seen a trailer, I watched a review, you know. But so what makes a video game now here's where I understand you guys, all right? You guys are quick to say, well, who's the director, right?
Yes.
I'm quick to say who's the publisher and the studio that made the game.
Okay.
So I can understand with you guys when we talk in my terminology. So when they said Avenger game was coming out, I thought to myself, well, who's making it? And they released, all they showed was the logo. It's an A with a long part of the A and a circle. That's the logo of the Avengers game. They said, really important, hear me out. Marvel's been around. Marvel's has had 80 years of comic books. They gave, and I'm going to save this for last, they gave the studio the rights to everything Marvel. They have the rights to choose any character ever. Like usually there's like okay, we can't touch that. They could choose any, because remember, the video games is different than the movies. So like, oh, Sony got Spider-Man. No, the video game, they could choose any character. They could choose any outfit. They could choose an outfit from the 80s. They have the right to make a brand new story that was never been told. They have all the rights. So when I heard that, I was like, well, who's making the game? The same people who made Final Fantasy, all the Final Fantasies, the same people who made, what the heck is the game that everybody loved with the Disney characters? That's probably the tie-in too. You know, Disney met Final Fantasy. They got the, darn it, I don't play the game, but everybody
they loves that game.
Yeah, well, the heck. Anyway, it's super popular, and they just came out with a new one last year. Anyways, so to say this, you got Square Enix making an Avengers game. And here's what's important, because Josh is going to hear me on this. That's multiplayer, because that's important. So I could get a story mode. All right, cool. Everybody's done that. But if I could play with my friends, and then on top of that, so that's what you heard. Oh, it could choose anything from 80 years. Square Enix is doing it. All right, that's right there is like, and it's multiplayer. Okay, that was good enough. That's all you heard. Then a year, you had to wait a whole year. That was 2017, 18, 19. That was 2018. Then 2019 comes around. Last E3, last summer, it's always in summer. And then you get a trailer. It's called an 8-day trailer. Then you seen gameplay. You was like, it's not like the Lego, because I always say they never had a good Avengers game. Everybody say, what are you talking about? The Lego game. No, we're not good. Yeah, that was good, but no, that's not what I'm talking about. Oh, the Ultimate Alliance. Ultimate Alliance looked like a phone game. It's like an overhead view, little small characters. No. But when you seen the trailer for this, you were like, N is multiplayer. So then we got to think of this. Okay, well, what about flying, right? Because there's only been one game, to my knowledge, that made flying where you could be a little person and jump in the air and fly and it'd be really good, which was Anthem. But everybody didn't receive that game well. But everybody said, even the critics, that the flying in Anthem was amazing. So then they had people who got to do the behind the scenes demo, and everybody was like, dude, how's the flying? And they was like, the flying's similar to Anthem. And I was like, oh God. So I'm sorry, I'm a little excited. So with all of that in one game, man, it's been, all my friends was like, I was telling them, I was like, dude, I got a feeling this Avengers game is gonna be the game. So 3 years leading up, and now we know, it was supposed to come out May 20th. They pushed it back. They felt like they wanted to add more. You know what they wanted to add, Josh? They got ridiculed because the story is a brand new story that's never been told in Marvel. So that's cool, right? So they decide, okay, we're gonna bring a brand new story. But the problem is the character faces, everybody thought they should look like the MCU. They look nothing like the MCU. They delayed the game to rechange that. Now the characters resemble more of the actual actors from the MCU. Like if you look at Thor then and now, you're like, oh, like, or even on Black Widow, her jawline was kind of rounded. Now they shaped it a little bit. She looks a little more like Scarlett Johansson. She's probably looked the less out of everybody, but the character of Thor looks more like
Hemsworth.
Yeah, Hemsworth. So anyway, I say that to say this. I'm super excited. For all you fans, I painted the picture. Just imagine that. So here's my thing. When video games get kind of boring, which they all do, they get repetitive. Dude, they got the ability to say, you know what? We're going to throw Black Panther in the game. Then all of a sudden you're like, what? They got a Black Panther expansion? You get him, outfits. And games, when they do microtransactions, which people kind of dislike. Well, think about it. Let's say they come out with a pack that got all these outfits. Now they got the old Iron Man outfit. Oh man, I'm done. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I'm excited. So September 4th will be that day.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So wait, are you doing it on cloud gaming as well on the Stadia?
Man, this is what's so hard. I got so many friends that have a PlayStation 4, but I'd rather get it for Stadia. That way I could literally play it anywhere.
By the way, I still have that the thing you gave me because I'm paying for it, so I'm a Stadia Pro now. I just need to order the controller.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just ordered another controller. I just got a couple of my other friends into it, but I prefer to get it on Stadia just because there's no limitations. But then also PlayStation 5, they just put out something. They said if you buy the PlayStation 4 version and you upgrade to a PlayStation 5, they'll upgrade the Avengers PlayStation 4 version to the PlayStation 5 version for free. So that's kind of cool when you think of it, like, oh. But I'm gonna say right now I'm gonna get it for Stadia, but I might change. But for right now, that's what I'm getting it for. And for instance, I went to my brother's cookout. A friend of mine called me. He was like, hey, I see your level got really high in this game I'm playing, Elder Scrolls Online. What'd you do? I said, oh, there's a trick you could do. So I pulled out my phone, and I didn't even have a controller, but they got virtual controls. I put out my phone, turned it like this, said, hold on, stay on the phone with me. Mind you, I'm holding my phone. I got my Bluetooth in my ear. I turn the game on. I go to the spot. I say, jump in the game with me. I show them what to do. In about 15 minutes, I was like, all right, bro, I'm going back to my cookout. Like, I don't know what to say, man. That stuff gets me. Maybe it's just me. All right, I'm done.
Thank you. I might even play that game when it comes out. So we'll see.
You're gonna have to, man. If you was ever a fan of video games and Avengers, like the way they're setting it, the story, the gameplay, the different outfits, like it just screams everything. And the people who played the demo liked it.
Right.
I just don't know I don't know how they could screw up that bad that the game would be considered not good. Like even if a game that give you all these characters, all this stuff, and let's say the pros rated, like IGN rated a 6, to us, like, because critics, right? So like, you know how Rotten Tomatoes have the critics and then the audience, right? So if the critics say, it was a 4, but the audience say it was a 7, we might like it, or I might like it. So
yeah,
Well, all I know is that I'm sure there'll be a mental theater watch party for all-purpose champs when they.
And you and me together.
Oh yeah, we definitely doing.
Yeah, no, I've been hearing you how you like, yo, me and Tony gonna play it together.
And Nate, because Nate gonna be on it as well.
See, never feel left out. I'm gonna have to get it. It's like I don't feel left out at that point.
Yeah, well, you and Nate might force us to get it. Oh wait, you don't have a video game system now, though, right?
Not yet, but
So all I'm saying is,
Mike got to get the PS5.
Hold on. All I'm saying is, Stadia. Like my stepson said to me, he was like, man, you always playing Stadia. How do I jump on that game with you? How much it costs? I said, oh, Stadia is free. You just got to pay for the game. So instead of you went out and had to buy a $300 system or a PlayStation 5, maybe $500 system. We don't know yet. They didn't release that. You could literally just say, yo, I'm just going to sign up because you got a Gmail. I'm just going to sign up for Stadia. You don't have to get the Pro. The Pro just give you free games. You could just say, I'm going to sign up for Stadia and just buy the game for $60 and I'm playing with y'all. And if you got a laptop, you don't even, if you could go on Amazon and buy a cheap PlayStation 4 controller and use, or an Xbox controller. You don't have to get a Stadia controller.
Wait, I thought you had to, so I can just use this.
Bro, you could use that right now. If you're playing on your laptop, you just can't use it on the TV because you need a Chromecast Ultra. But yes, you could play that on your phone right now, Josh. You could use your, what's that, an Xbox or a PlayStation controller?
PlayStation.
Yeah, you could use a PlayStation controller. All you do is, listen, bro. I got a PlayStation, I got an Xbox, I got a Stadia controller. So all you would have to do is hold down the share button and the PS button and start flashing. And then you pull up your phone and go to Bluetooth. It's going to connect to your phone. Start playing. If your laptop, you could just plug the wire into your laptop. Your PlayStation controller is connected. Type in stadia.com. It's automatically going to connect because you got a Google account. Start playing.
But for the TV, I would need to have the PlayStation controller.
Yeah, no, for the TV, you have to have a Stadia controller because you would have to have a Chromecast. You remember when Chromecast came out? Yeah. It was just for people to stream stuff to your TV. Yeah. So they have a Chromecast Ultra, which is like a round one. You just need that and a Stadia controller because Stadia controller is a little bit more advanced. They said PlayStation is going to do this, but I don't know if they still are. So what make the Xbox and the PlayStation controllers work is Bluetooth. So you Bluetooth this to your system. But Stadia, because people talk about latency, Stadia connects to your Wi-Fi. So when you press a button and Stadia is through your Wi-Fi, it's like this. It's connected really well. So that's the thing. So if you have Chromecast Ultra connected to your Wi-Fi and the Stadia controller, then everything is going through your TV. You don't have to worry about latency or anything. But you got a laptop. So if you wanted to just like listen, I sit in the bed a lot and just play games on I was playing my game before you hit me up and said we're doing mental theater right now on my laptop, sitting in the same chair.
Oh wow!
So, and what's cool is I could pause the game, get up, go, press play on my TV, and it goes from my laptop to my TV. Then I can say I want to play on my phone, and with my PlayStation, because I got two, one in the bedroom for Sandy, one in the living room, which is mine. My PlayStation 4 Pro. There's times where the kids.
I know, right? That's what I said, John. It's crazy. It's a lot of PlayStations, bro. That's
crazy. We got 4 in the house.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's times. Yeah, my son got one. Sandy's son got one. Sierra got a PlayStation 3. So there's time. And Eric friend, my son friend, used to come over and play in the front room. He used to bring his PlayStation over because they didn't have Wi-Fi at his house. So he used to play in the front room. I played there. Sandy played here. Bobby played in his room. Eric played in his room. We used to have everybody just playing. We used to play H1Z1.
Wait, how do you all stream online at the same time?
No, I got good. Well, here's the cool thing. At the time I just had the Comcast Blast, which is 300 speed. That's good enough. Yeah, because the download speed is 300, so that's good enough. That's more than enough, you know. Now upload is where it get tricky. That's why when you use StreamYard, because I actually tried StreamYard, I was like, oh, this is cool, but StreamYard is pretty much a browser. So like the internet got to be spot on, you know? But so think about this real quick and I'm done. If there's times where I was playing all-purpose Champion Crew, right? Oh, we're going to play and the kids start making noise and now I want to go to the PlayStation in the bedroom. First of all, that same game had to be on this PlayStation. If it wasn't, I'm screwed. So I got to unhook that PlayStation, go. If it is, I still got to say, all right, guys, I got to log off, shut it down, walk in the room, turn it on, reload the game. Stadia, you press pause, play, let's go. Even when I buy a game, you press purchase and play. There's no downloads. There's no copies. There's no like with a PlayStation, right? My boy Joe, when we play on games, like we have to let him know a week in advance what game we're gonna play on PlayStation because he never have enough space. So think about it. When you buy these games, you put a disc in or you download it, it needs to take up space, right? So it's like, oh, Joe, we're gonna play this. Okay, you ain't tell me in time. I didn't get to download the game. Now we can't even play the game we want. Stadia is infinite. There's no limit. No, you can have 1 billion games. Google isn't charging for space.
So now I'm insanely curious. Have you invested in Google stock yet?
Dude, I was saying I was going to make my own commercial because my tagline is, if you play in the cloud, you're limitless gamers, because other systems, you're limited. So I need to really make that commercial, but no, I haven't invested. Maybe I got to talk to Mike about all that stuff.
Yeah, you should. And do you only play Stadia now then? No more PlayStation?
I play it mostly, but I'm a gamer. So like I'm playing Last of Us 2, which is probably going to be Game of the Year this year. And that's on PlayStation 4. So I won't cross over all the way because then I feel like I like to be in the know. I like to play this, play that. I'm pretty sure I'll get a PlayStation 4, a PlayStation 5, but my preference is the cloud. I feel like there's so many advantages that I like it. Now, the very big disadvantage where somebody's going to watch this show, they can be like, but bro, it's dependent on your internet. And that's true. But there's a lot of games that's online only, like take Destiny 2, which is an online only game on PlayStation and Xbox and computer, and you have to have the internet. You can't play it. So there's still
Did you have to increase your speeds recently?
Huh?
Did you have to increase your speeds recently?
Yeah, so recently I decided to increase it because I got into all this stuff. So I got into streaming. So the game is coming from the cloud, and I got into streaming. So I want to be able to get the game and stream, and OBS was acting up. I couldn't figure out, like, is it my internet? Is it OBS? Is it my laptop just not strong enough? So long story short, my laptop just needed a better, like it's brand new, but I should have got a better laptop. I should have got one with a better processor. Because what happens is I could stream in 1080 30, but I can't do, whenever I do 60 frames per second, even if I do 720p and 60 frames, it cuts up. So I decided to upgrade because I didn't know what it was. So I was like, okay, when I called Comcast, I found out that in January I got a discount. I forgot about that, where I paid $64 a month and pretty fast speed. Like I said, I was doing all this before. I actually don't need what I pay for. But then I used to pay $94. So Comcast, the fastest they have is $94. So I was like, oh, I thought it was going to be more expensive. And I thought that's what I was paying. I forgot I did. So I was like, well, if I thought I was paying that amount, why not do it anyway? So, so long story short, the Avengers game, I think, is going to be awesome. I love cloud gaming, and I just love games in general. So
I mean, like I said, that's your competitive advantage, Tony, and it's going to be available on Google Stadia. So why not just play it on Stadia and stream it?
Yeah, I know, but then I know some people are going to be like, oh, you didn't get the PlayStation 4 version. I feel like, yeah, I didn't. Because I got some friends that still play Destiny. I don't play it anymore. And they're like, oh, you'll never be on. Like, I just don't, I'm not that interested in the game anymore. So, and I learned that gaming, you'll always meet new gamers. Like, they're out there, you know?
Right.
Sure. You know, if the game's popular, it's going to be thousands of people playing.
Well, thank you for your insight on the Stadia and the Avengers and stuff like that.
Sorry about that, man, but I am very passionate. Like I said, when you guys are in the movies, I'm like that in the video games.
You're fine. You might even turn me into a gamer before you know it. Who knows? So.
Oh, you mean back to a gamer, Miguel?
Back to a gamer.
Back to yes.
Yes. Back to a gamer.
I'm trying to turn you back into a wrestling fan. It sounds like.
You're almost there, bro. I'm watching a lot of stuff I told you online, catching up, stuff like that. So I'm getting there and whatnot. I didn't even know the one dude I was watching about that he didn't come back for the corona. The Kevin dude, I think his name is, the wrestler.
Who, Kevin Owens?
Yeah. I was watching about him. His wife's grandfather died or something like that, so he's not coming back and whatnot. But
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. His wife's father-in-law died because of corona or whatever. So he's not coming back no time soon.
Wow.
So this whole thing ends and whatnot. See, I'm learning news you don't even know. You give me the wrestling fan. Who knows?
You're right.
Whatnot. But anyway, it's been another episode of Mental Theater. We're going to wrap this up, Josh, if you don't mind. and we'll be back next week. Hopefully, the whole crew will be back. We'll try to start earlier and whatnot, and it's always a good show when we get us together. So,
right, and closer to the release date, we're gonna have to get Tony to. We're gonna do a mental theater watch along for Inception, because once he sees how amazing that film is, he's gonna be very, very excited for Tenet.
I mean, I've seen Inception before. It is awesome.
I mean, you need to see it again. That's the movie.
And I heard you guys say that there's rumors it might be tied in.
Oh yeah, it might be related. So it might be a sequel, which is pretty cool.
Right.
Or the Inception verse, either way, or the Nolan verse, whatever you want to call it. I'm all on board.
That would be super awesome.
Oh, great.